From this class, we will open a new chapter about functions. The function features prominently in WPS Spreadsheet for its strong computing power. With the flexible usage of the feature, you may make it more powerful. Let's start to figure out how function can assist us to enhance the speed with which we handle data. Basic operation of the function. We have a basic grasp of the function calculation through the previous tutorial. Let's review several methods to insert formulas. Click the Formulas tab and select Insert Function to pop up a dialog. Here, you can choose different functions such as date and time and math and trig. Once selected, the formula will tell you its syntax and usage. We can also click the FX icon and enter a formula. The third method is to enter equals before formula in cells if you are no stranger to formula. Entering the first few letters of the function can activate the full form because a smart WPS spreadsheet can predict texts. Select any formula and press the Tab key, and then you can enter the correct parameters. A comma is needed to separate each parameter. It's perfectly normal to feel confused about these parameters. Don't worry. WPS intimately explains the meaning of these parameters, and in this series, we will break down these concepts one by one. Let's take a simple case as an example. This is a fruit sales table. First, we need to adopt a math operator to get the total sales of B4. Input equals D4 times E4 and press the Enter key. Then double-click to fill the remaining cells and get the sales for the remaining fruits. Two things deserve attention. First, cells can be referenced in the calculation. In this case, cells D4 and E4 are referred. Double-click the formula and they will be highlighted. There is a one-to-one correspondence between the color of the cells and the formula. Second, we can double-click with the fill handle or drop them down to copy and fill, so the formulas can be quickly applied for the same operations. Insert cell references in three ways. When using the function to calculate, there is one thing that we have to face and have to grasp. 3 ways to make a cell reference. What does this mean? Take this table as an example. Double-click the cell to check the formula. The formula of cell F4 is equals D4 times E4. This is because we refer and multiply to the values of cells D4 and E4. The formula of cell F5 is equals D5 times E5, and the formula of cell F6 is equals D6 times E6. It's not hard to get the rule. That is, the parameters of the formula will relatively change with the progression of cells, and this is relative cell reference. Most of the tables will perform relative reference when we drag down the fill handle, which will bring troubles sometimes. Suppose all fruit in this shop are discounted at 20% of the selling price. Let's create a new discount column in column H, enter 0.8, and change the formula in cell F4 to equals D4 times E4 times H4. Press Enter and fill the remaining fruit cells. Then we can identify the problem. As the cells of other fruit is incorrect, how can we fix them? Click cell F5 to check its formula, equals D5 times E5 times H5. Obviously, the formula in cell F4 changes when we drag it down and make it a relative reference. Click the rest of the cells, and it is clear that these formulas should have multiplied by 0.8, but the change of formulas brings us incorrect results. Here are the right steps. Double-click cell F4 and place your cursor before H4. Press the shortcuts F4 to make it an absolute reference, $H, $4. Finally, press Enter. Then you can drag down and get the right sales. In this case, we create absolute references. What we did is fix the value in cell H4, which is 0.8. By doing so, the formulas will not change when you drag down the cells. The mixed reference is another approach to refer. It's used less frequently than the previous two reference approaches. We'll give you a quick rundown of how it works. Double-click cell F4 to check the formula. Place your cursor in front of $H, $4, where H stands for column and 4 for the row. Now, the dollar symbol is added in front of the row and column, indicating that this cell is locked as an absolute cell reference. Press the shortcut F4 again and turn the cell into H$4. The cell with $1 ahead of 4 means only the fourth row is locked. Press F4 again to change the cell into $H4, and we fix the column H. Press F4 again to return to H4. As you can see, the dollar symbol represents locking. It can be added in front of columns and rows to lock columns or rows. The shortcut F4 allows you to switch between absolute references, relative references, mixed references, and normal state. Next, we take this table as an example to strengthen the knowledge points we just learned. For the convenience of the display, we will illustrate different kinds of cell references under corresponding headings. We will make cell B3 a relative reference in the Relative References table. Use the fill handle to refer its formula to the right and fill it down. At this time, the reference will change based on the relative position of rows and columns. In the Absolute References table, we make cell B3 the absolute reference cell and press F4 to lock its rows and columns. No matter how we drag it, the contents of cell references will not change because they are locked. In the Mixed References table, we can make cell B3 a mixed reference cell. Press F4 twice to lock the third row. At this time, the referred contents are all from the third row if we fill the remaining cells using the fill handle. Similarly, we make cell B3 a mixed cell reference by pressing F4 3 times to lock the column B. Using the fill handle to fill, you will find that what we referred to are all from column B. The above are 3 types of cell references. Of course, referring to the contents within a worksheet is just an iceberg of what functions can do. We can refer to data from other worksheets with easy steps. Take this sheet as an example, containing the sales in January, February, and March. The column headers, row headers, and their ranking order are all the same. Now, let's calculate the total sales using the sum function. Here are the steps. First, create a new worksheet and name it Summary Sheet. Then select any sheet and paste its style here. Enter equals sum in the cell and then click Tab. Let's switch to January's worksheet. Select C4 and enter a comma to separate, and then switch to February's sheet. Select C4 and insert a comma. Finally, switch to March's sheet. Select C4 and press Enter to get the total sales for Jakarta. Let's take a closer look at the entered formula. There are 3 parameters in the sum function, including the sales in January, February, and March, respectively. There are cross-worksheet references, so they share a common feature. An exclamation mark appears between the worksheet name and the cell address. Because the function formula can carry out relative references, we can use the fill handle and fill it down and to the right. Now, we make the summary sheet complete. What if we have to deal with a large amount of data at one time? Suppose the summary worksheet comprises 12 months. The way we use is too troublesome to click one by one. Can we find a quicker way? Here's a little trick. Just like what we did in the above case, select the cell in the summary sheet and enter equals sum. Press Tab to return to the January worksheet and select the C4 cell. At this time, let's leave the February sheet alone. Instead, hold down Shift and select the last worksheet, that is, the December sheet. Select cell C4 again and press Enter to get the total sales in 12 months using a smarter way. Double-click the cell to check the formula. There's a colon between January and December. Will that remind you of the cell range? A colon stands for continuous. In a cell reference or cell address, colons represent a range of adjacent cells. When they appear in worksheets, it means a range of continuous worksheet ranges. Did you get it? In addition, WPS allows cell reference across workbooks, and the theory is the same. If you grasp what we learned today, it should not be a problem for you. We won't go into detail here. In today's lesson, we have learned how the difficult yet powerful function works. First, we look at how to insert functions, such as entering in the formula address bar or entering in cells directly. We can enter an equals sign followed by the formulas. WPS Spreadsheet will predict relevant functions and tell you the syntax. Second, there are 3 different types of cell references, namely relative references, absolute references, and mixed references. Press F4 and you can switch between the three types at will. Third, you can refer to data within the same worksheet or across worksheets and workbooks. For most people, it's enough to master a few basic functions. You can also pick up new functions as needed. The most often used statistical functions will be covered in the following lesson. Stay tuned.